Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Imagine being able to share your ideas, stories, and experiences with the world. It's an incredible opportunity, and the power of podcasting is more significant than you might think. In this digital age, podcasts are not just a trend, but a growing force of influence, reaching millions of listeners worldwide. They've become a new form of media, a fresh platform for self-expression. Why should you consider podcasting? Well, for starters, it's an excellent tool for personal branding. It allows you to establish yourself as an expert in your field, connect with thought leaders, and build your network. But it doesn't stop there. Podcasts can also be a source of income with opportunities for sponsorships and partnerships. Now, are you feeling the pull of the podcasting world? Ready to jumpstart your podcast journey? Let's dive right in. Starting a podcast might seem daunting, but with the right approach, it can be a smooth process. The first step in your podcasting journey is to identify the theme of your podcast. This is the central idea that your podcast will revolve around. It could be anything from entrepreneurship to personal growth to cooking or even a mix of a few. The key is to choose a theme that you're passionate about. By doing so, you'll be able to create content that not only you enjoy making but also that your audience will love listening to. Next, you need to identify your target audience. Who are the people that would be interested in your podcast? Are they entrepreneurs looking for business tips? Are they young adults seeking personal growth advice? Or are they food enthusiasts wanting to learn new cooking recipes? Understanding your audience will help you tailor your content to their interests and needs, ultimately leading to a more engaged listenership. Once you've identified your theme and audience, it's time to decide on the format of your podcast. Will it be a solo show where you share your insights and experiences? Or will it involve interviews with experts in your field? Perhaps a mix of both. Again, the choice depends on what you think your audience will enjoy the most. Now let's talk about naming your podcast. This is a crucial step as a catchy and relevant name can attract more listeners. For instance, if your podcast theme is about entrepreneurship, you might consider a name like Startup Stories or Business Breakdown. These names clearly convey the theme of the podcast and are likely to catch the attention of your target audience, which, in this case, are entrepreneurs. In contrast, if your podcast is about personal growth, names like Journey to Self-Discovery or Pathways to Potential could be good options. They reflect the theme of personal development and are likely to resonate with individuals interested in self-improvement. Remember, a well-defined podcast theme and a catchy name can make all the difference. So take your time in these initial steps. Your podcast's success depends on it. Your first episode sets the tone for your podcast. It's your chance to hook your audience and keep them coming back for more. So let's dive right into how you can create your first podcast episode. It's a thrilling journey, and every step of the way is a crucial part of the process. First things first, you'll need a script. Yes, even the most spontaneous-sounding podcasts often have a script in the background. Your script serves as a roadmap, guiding you through the episode's content. It helps you stay focused, manage your time effectively, and ensure you cover all the important points. So, pen down your ideas, structure them into a well-rounded script, and practice it a couple of times. Remember, practice makes perfect. Next, let's talk about the tools of the trade, your equipment. You don't need a professional studio to start a podcast. A good quality microphone and a pair of noise-canceling headphones can do wonders. Remember, clear and crisp audio is key to keeping your listeners engaged. So invest in a decent microphone and you're halfway there. Once you've got your script and your equipment ready, it's time to hit the record button. Be confident, be yourself, and let your passion shine through your voice. Don't worry if you make mistakes. It's all part of the process. The magic happens in the editing phase. Editing is where you smooth out the rough edges, cut out the ums and ahs, and add in some music or sound effects if you like. There are plenty of free editing software options available, so don't let this stage intimidate you. It might take some time to get the hang of it, but once you do, you'll be able to polish your podcast and make it shine. And there you have it, your first podcast episode. But how do you ensure it reaches your target audience? The next step is promotion, and we'll cover that in the following scene. Stay tuned. Creating your podcast is only half the battle. The next step is getting it out there for the world to hear. Now, let's dive into the various strategies for promoting your podcast. Remember, your podcast is a story that you're sharing, and every story needs an audience to thrive. First off, leverage social media. Platforms like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn are great places to start. Share snippets from your podcast, create engaging posts about upcoming episodes, and encourage your followers to share your content. This not only helps you reach a wider audience but also creates a community around your podcast. Next, consider guesting on other podcasts. This is a fantastic way to reach an audience that already loves podcasts. And who knows, they might just fall in love with yours too. Reach out to podcasts that share a similar target audience or complement your content. Remember, collaboration over competition. Now let's talk about SEO, short for search engine optimization. Many podcast listeners discover new shows through search engines. By optimizing your podcast title, description, and show notes, you can rank higher in search engine results, making it easier for potential listeners to discover your podcast. You can also make use of podcast directories. Submit your podcast to directories like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. These platforms have millions of active users who are always on the lookout for new content. Finally, don't forget about word-of-mouth referrals. Encourage your current listeners to share your podcast with their friends, family, and colleagues. This is one of the most effective ways to grow your audience organically. Remember, promoting your podcast is not a one-time task. It's a continuous process that requires time, patience, and consistency. It might seem daunting at first, but with each step, you'll get closer to reaching a wider audience. With consistent promotion, your podcast audience will start to grow. But how do you take it to the next level? You've started your podcast and have a steady listener base. Now it's time to scale. Taking your podcast to the next level is not just about increasing your audience size, it's about enhancing your brand, expanding your reach, and ultimately generating more revenue. Here's how you can do it. Firstly, let's talk about sponsorships. This is a common monetization strategy for podcasts. By partnering with businesses that align with your podcast's theme or your audience's interests, you can gain support for your show while also providing value to your sponsor. Remember, it's not just about getting a sponsor, it's about building a relationship that benefits both parties. Next, consider offering premium content. This could be in the form of bonus episodes, extended interviews, or ad-free versions of your show. By providing this additional value, you can create a revenue stream from your most loyal listeners who are willing to pay for that extra content. This not only monetizes your podcast but also deepens your connection with your audience. Then, there's the idea of branching out to live events. This can be a fantastic way to engage your audience and bring your podcast to life. Whether it's a live recording of your show, a meet and greet, or a panel discussion, live events can create memorable experiences for your listeners and open up new revenue opportunities. Plus, they can be a lot of fun. And of course, don't forget about merchandise. Branded items like t-shirts, mugs, or stickers can not only generate income but also help promote your podcast. It's a win-win. Lastly, always explore partnerships and collaborations. This can help you reach new audiences and bring fresh perspectives to your show. So don't be afraid to reach out to other podcasters or influencers in your niche. Scaling your podcast can open up a world of possibilities, turning your passion into a profitable venture. Remember, it's not just about the numbers, it's about creating a podcast that provides value, sparks conversations, and builds a community around your content. Now go out there and scale your podcast to new heights. So, are you ready to start your podcast journey? We've covered a lot of ground today, from the power of podcasting to the nitty-gritty of getting your first episode out there. Remember how we spoke about identifying your podcast's unique theme, something that resonates with you and your prospective audience. That's your starting point. Then, we moved on to creating your first episode. It's all about content that adds value, isn't it? Your podcast should enlighten, entertain, or educate. And don't forget the importance of promoting your podcast. Utilize social media, collaborate with other podcasters, or reach out to influencers in your niche. We then dived into scaling strategies, talking about ways to grow your podcast and reach a wider audience. From developing a consistent schedule to considering partnerships with businesses, every step counts. Remember, creating and scaling a podcast takes time and effort, but with the right approach, your voice can reach and inspire countless listeners across the globe.